This is Moving Mad in Medicine, hosted by Monel.
Hi, I am Monel, a doctor trying to make sense of medicine without losing myself in the process. And this is Moving Mad in Medicine, a podcast about working in a system that demands excellence, but rarely offers softness. Here we talk about the pressure, the ambition, the doubt, the quiet anger, the chaos, the relationships, and the questions we are not trained to ask out loud. This podcast is honest and reflective. Sometimes it is funny, and other times it is uncomfortable. If you're in medicine and you've ever thought of leaving it or reshaping it, or maybe just surviving it, come with me and let's talk. Hi everybody. Welcome back to Moving Mad in Medicine. I'm happy to have you here. Thanks for coming to listen again, and I really missed you. I hope you missed me too. Anywho, in this episode, we have two amazing women, two badass doctors, and I think I will just leave them to introduce themselves. So, here you go. Hi guys, I'm Dr. Kamdi, and I'm a house officer currently in surgery. Glad to be here. Thank you for having me.
Hi guys, my name is Dr. Judith and I'm also a house officer currently in my obstetrics and gynecology posting.
Hi Judith.
Hi.
Welcome. It's amazing to have two of you here, especially because we've been talking about relenting for like ages, and
Finally glad that was able to happen this moment.
yes, because for some reason we're always so busy and everybody's moving mad, so there's really no tells and tribulations. Oh god. Anyway, thank you guys for being here. Well, I know we're not done with the week, but how's your week been so far?
Oh my goodness, my week has been chaotic. Chaotic to say the least, but I'm surviving.
I mean, I'm so sorry.
Thank you.
I'm so sorry. I'm glad you're alive. How's your week been?
I think my week has actually been it's been chill, all right. Like going from one department to our one unit, so to speak, to the other. So it's been very okay. Not a lot of patients so far,
Okay.
currently. So to the angels, to the spirit listening by, just like, yeah, like please, thank you. Like not too much work, not too much stress. Thank you.
Yeah, the week's almost over, so
Exactly. Let's keep that energy. Friday's just here. Like, yeah. Like,
all right. Good to know that you guys had the chaotic and a fair week. Well, my own week was a mix of the two. It's not really chaotic and it has waned down. So yeah, I'm alive as well. So bless God. So in this episode, we are going to be talking about the experiences of women in medicine. So as doctors, more often than not, way more often than not, you get referred to as a nurse, and for various reasons, obviously. And I think everybody has experienced that.
definitely, you definitely. At some point in your career, you will be called anti-nurse. At some point, like
At every point,
Yeah.
pretty much though.
anti-nurse. Despite that name tag that shows doctor right there, despite the stethoscope around your neck, despite that word coat which you stroll into the accident and emergencies, anti-nurse.
So, I'll be starting by asking you if do you want me to ask people questions or do you want to just gist?
Jace, it's alright.
I must ask you. That was a trap. So, really, genuinely, can you remember the first time you experienced being called a nurse?
Thank you very much for that question, man. That was a very wonderful question.
So, yes, like I said, I feel like a good majority of women at some point have experienced this. For that, my experience, I don't know if this is or if it was my first experience, but I think it's the earliest I can recall. So I was in the accident and emergency, just giving drugs to patients, giving medications and all that. So as obviously I'm giving my drugs, I'm chatting the medications. When I just suddenly hear someone go "Tss, tss," from the corner of my ear, and I was so baffled. Like I refused to believe it was me because it's not that's not something you call somebody. But if I try to get someone's attention, be like, "Hi, excuse me," that's the normal thing you do. You be like, "Hi, excuse me, man." Like you can say, "Man, that's not an issue," but just said, "Tss." I'm like, no, 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 no. So obviously, I kept documenting what I was documenting. Then I heard them talking to themselves because, like, the family, the relatives, they were there. They just went on saying, I don't think she heard me. Let me go and meet her. So, obviously, now I knew they were talking about me. But no, I didn't turn my head. No, I didn't even raise my head off. What if someone was dying?
No, obviously, there'll be signs of. No, now I feel like
There are signs of death.
there are some things you would have heard, definitely.
But this was not this. Like it was a very calm. Like there were no. Everybody was pretty much stable. Like that was it. So like it was a pretty stable night. So that was it. So eventually, I just heard them say, "Oh, like let me go up to her and talk to her." So the woman came up to me. She tapped me on the shoulder and said, "Like nurse, excuse me, nurse." I was like, "Okay, so the first mistake you made was that you first said." That's not the way you address somebody.
Are you for real?
I'm very serious. Like, I don't know if I told them.
Okay.
Then she now apologized and I said, "Oh, sorry, ma, that I wasn't that we didn't say that maybe you misheard that that we're calling you nurse." I was like, "Good, that's your second mistake. You called me nurse." Despite this word quotes around let me sound cliche. Let me sound cliche. What were you wearing? I was wearing my what?
You're really answering. You're really answering that question.
No, just to be because I was like, all right, okay, maybe you know somebody we can't see, but my word quote with my name, the doctor, they are right there on it.
Mhm.
But yeah,
Okay.
it was a very interactive first experience actually.
Yeah.
Because I don't for me, yeah, I can't remember my first experience. Since I started the medicine where I did do like this, I've been called nurse so many times. You know, it was over time I became aware of the fact that I shouldn't respond to being a nurse. Like it just clicked to me one day that they know they answer these people again, they call you nurse, right? But I can't remember my first experience. But I do have a notable first experience of somebody being called a doctor being called a nurse, and it was really bad. Yeah, we just finished preclinicals. We're doing introductory posting or maybe our first internal medicine posting. But I know that we were very fresh in clinicals and we're doing ward rounds. It was the ward round it was a senior registrar ward round. Only one senior registrar was around and that it was dermatology also. She's a woman. And then there was a house officer. There was no reg in that department. And then we were just students. So we did rounds. We were moving from bed to bed. And then we got to this particular man's bed. Anyway, yeah, so we got to this particular man's bed and the SR was like, "Hello, good morning, how are you doing?" He greeted her, "Good morning, I'm fine." She was like, "So do you have any complaints today?" He said, "I don't want to talk to you. I want to talk to my doctor." He pointed at the house officer. And the house officer is a guy, like his morphology is kind of big, you know. And then the guy was like, "Please, oh, don't put me in trouble. She's my boss, oh, and she be my madam." It was so wild to me. Like even then, I was not so chronically in that medical social space where I get to know that women do experience this thing. But it was so wild to me. Like, how can you there's before I was before SR there's registrar level and this woman she later wrote her part two like within weeks around that time. And he undermined her because she's a woman and I don't know if he thought she was a nurse, but he wanted to talk to his doctor, the house officer. But so that
man in the room with
yes,
him. Yeah.
the man in the room.
The comfort is stuck.
So that was my first experience. But personally, for me, I don't even remember my first experience. It's too rampant that I never took notes. What about you?
Yeah. Okay. Same thing. The first time I saw a female doctor being called a nurse, I was just done with medical school, but I was just at a hospital, kind of like observing, helping them
Yeah.
around and stuff. So she came to review a patient. I went with her to review the patient. And then somewhere in the conversation, the patient was like, "Oh, nurse." And she immediately corrected the patient, like, "I'm not a nurse, I'm the doctor."
Yeah.
And I didn't really should I say it didn't
Not
really
click.
click.
It didn't click
Yes.
at the
I
moment.
just felt like, oh, this was one person
Mhm.
making a mistake, like it happens. And she was not wearing a word coat. So I just felt like, okay, this is one person out of like how many people. So on starting my house job, and then you're walking around with your word coat, like Dr. Kamdi said, sometimes with your name boldly written. You see me like I'm the one who came, I asked you what was wrong with you, took your history,
Probably introduced yourself.
introduced my
You interacted with
guy. And then they're like, "Nurse, nurse." At first, because I'm really not a confrontational person. So at first, I would just answer them like, let me just avoid saying anything. We got to a point, I would either not respond or I would just tell you I am not a nurse. Straight up. So, yeah.
Okay, that I was going to ask the next question I was going to ask was do you have you ever just let it slide like let them just call me
Oh, of
nurse?
course.
No, yeah, sometimes just once in a while actually. Yeah, once in a while, depending on the situation. Yeah,
yeah.
maybe somebody. Well, do you know what? For me, I think these people are aware of what they do. But okay, let me not boycott
Generally.
my process. Sometimes I let things slide if they call me nurse. But then, have you noticed that it's only for trivial things per se that they call you nurse, nurse, nurse? If somebody's having a seizure, they will remember that you're a doctor.
If you're definitely
If something
like,
is
at that
crazy,
moment,
they will remember.
you're a
Oh.
doctor.
I don't know how that happens. How exhausting does it get? Like, it doesn't really affect your work or your flow. I don't even know how I'm going to describe it. It's just like, just call me my proper thing. Like,
Yeah.
I'm a doctor. Address me as doctor. Like, it shouldn't be something of a big deal. You get like, okay, you don't know me for the first time. You're just meeting me. You just call me introduce myself to you as doctor. From there henceforth, I expect that conversation to be, oh, hi, doctor. This, like, that should not be, it should not have corrected you the first time. You come and meet me again the second time, the third time, the fourth. Like, at that point, it's like as though you are intentionally
Purposefully doing it.
trying to do it. Like, you just call me. I was like, for what reason? To what end? Like, so I don't know, honestly.
Okay.
What's the funniest or most noteworthy nurse moment you've had? I'm trying to think about it actually. I don't think I have a specific one, but I think something similar to what she said, whereby it's like you've corrected this person before. I've had that experience. Like you have called me nurse before and I have corrected you. Like you've even called me doctor on other occasions.
Mm-hmm.
And then on this
Suddenly,
day, your brain just
reset.
factory reset. Default mode. I think on that day, like I think there was a bit shock because I was like, I know that you know that it's too good to so why in the world did Nash just slip from your lips? Well, okay. I think that they do these things because they've been conditioned.
Yeah.
Right? Some people do it because they've been conditioned. From our upbringing. If some people have like two sons, one daughter, they say the daughter is going to be a nurse, the son is going to be a doctor, and the other one is going to be an engineer. There's some professions that are associated with certain genders. Well, let's say unfortunately, fortunately for everybody, the world has evolved, so people get to do what they want to do regardless of their gender. So I think sometimes that conditioning still pops up. Is the way I think for me, way before now, I used to think once you're a lawyer, you just start defending people in court. That's not the only thing that has to do. Like, that's not the only thing that goes on in law, right? There are many facets to law. So I think it's conditioning, right? But some people are just weird.
Yeah, definitely.
Some people are just weird. I have my weirdest nurse experience. The nothing has stood out more. Let me give you the gist. So we were just jejely on our own. There was someone that was going to get what did you call this thing? Was going to get an NG tube. So, there's a way you unfortunately walk into A&E and work will just befall you. So I unfortunately walked into A&E. We were two, me and another doctor. So we just walked into A&E and two nurses were trying to feed the patient and two nurses were men. So they just came to me, like this man pulled out his NG tube that they want to put another one that we should come and put the NG tube. And then when I got to the bedside, the patient's relative was sitting beside him. And then I greeted him. Before we had a conversation, after greeting him, I was now interacting with the nurse. I was like, where is the water? Where is the, what do they call this thing now? The jelly and all of that. So we're having a conversation. As I was talking with the nurse, the person sitting was not saying, nurse, nurse. And my default mode is to never answer nurse.
Yeah, of course.
Now, some of these male nurses do not even help it. You're standing beside them, they say nurse, nurse, nurse. They will not answer. They will be waiting. I don't know who they want to answer, but I say make all of us they play deaf. So I kept on interacting with the nurse. And then the man said, sister, sister, sister. So obviously he was talking to me and my colleague because we were the only female at the bedside, at the foot of the bed. And then I turned to him, I was like, oh, are you talking to me? He said, yes. I said, I'm not a nurse. I'm Dr. Omo, and this is my colleague. And the man said, yes, I also am engineer. And let me say his name is Ebuka. He was like, yes, I also am engineer Ebuka, and I have worked in. You mentioned the name of the company for so and so years in Port Harcourt State and in River State, and then this. I'm like, okay, sir, noted. I'm just letting you know that I am Dr. Omo and I'm not a nurse. He said, yes, I said, because you were saying nurse. And he said he was not saying nurse to me, that he was talking to the other people. But bro, I also heard you say sister. You definitely were not telling those men sister. It was so weird. I'm like, from where to where? He started telling me his CV and everything. But it was very funny. But I did not let it slide, so to speak. But after that interaction, I was like, okay, he's never going to mistake me for a nurse again. And then that was how I went on with what we're doing and all that stuff. But yeah, but that's my most outstanding nurse nurse moment. It's always a wide experience. I like to know on a genuine note when you Kamdi obviously is a strict babe. For her first experience to be that brutal. Me, my first experience, I didn't even notice that I was being called a nurse. I was just taking them innocently. But yeah, what do you do typically when somebody calls you a nurse? What do you do?
What do I do? I think like it just depends. It depends on the mood. It depends on the situation. I might ignore you. Honestly, there's some days you can be right there.
I swear.
Not
I mean, like, even if this, I say, in my mind, everything I say in my mind is, if I answer this person, make I bend. I will just be hearing nurse, nurse with increasing intensity. Nurse, nurse.
and then when I'm done, I will walk out.
I will leave there.
You are not. You are calling a nurse. I am not a nurse. So how am I going to turn and respond to you?
Yes.
Once you call doctor, yes. That's what I'm going to talk about. Nurse, nurse. Like I can hear you shouting, but I'm not the nurse, so I'm not going to turn. The most I can do, I can help you obviously direct you to the nurses. Like, oh, the nurses are say station.
Yeah, that's what I do.
I can direct you.
So
there,
what I do is, I let you say nurse for like 5 times, so you realize that is it that I am deaf or I'm ignoring you. You figure out. But when you said that nurse for like a good number of times, I will not be like, do you want to talk to a nurse? And you say yes. I'll not say I am a doctor. That's a nurse. That's exactly what I do. I first make sure they realize that I can hear them, but I ain't answering you. Then going forward, and I redirect them. The first thing I usually do is, I usually say, do you want to talk to a nurse? Are you looking for a nurse? Once they say yes, correct. So the nursing station is that way, straight up.
Yeah.
Straight up.
So then I think it also depends on the situation too, because like there are sometimes maybe I'm in a hurry, or if I know like actually and imagine
No.
they just ignore that and like do whatever it is they are calling me for.
Sure. That's noble of you. But I know that's what we're supposed to do actually. You can use your discretion to gauge it, triage the situation and decide what you're going to do. Anywho, yeah.
I just remembered a funny nursing story where you just about this thing about being a doctor being called a nurse. So there I was just on my way walking to a ward, like I'm coming from the academic medicine going to the ward. So there were 2 men just behind me. So I just heard one go, nurse, nurse. So obviously I did not know because I'm not the one. And the funniest thing was there was a nurse passing at that exact moment. So I assumed obviously they were calling this nurse. But when she passed them and they didn't like talk to her and all that. So I was like, okay, so definitely they are trying to set you. So obviously I kept walking ahead. So I just heard the guy go, this nurse, nurse, person they try talk to you now, fine now. You know one answer person. Obviously, I still did not talk. But the nurse fine, sure. I want to talk to I was
Hey, you're Saloba.
I was genuinely shocked. Like
From where to where? Okay, that's much.
It was just too.
I was not expecting that.
I was like, they tried to talk to her, but she know the answer. Oh, maybe she be doctor. Doctor. Obviously, I now turned at that moment. Yes, it's like, oh, you be doctor, no vex. And they tried to talk to you now. For now, you there. I see me. I just call you. Say, I mean, like I have things to go and do. I'm sorry. I was too stunned to say. I was quite stunned. Like, wow. Okay, just all right. I see what we are doing here. No problem. Carry on.
Oh, anyway, it's called moving mad in medicine for a reason. If people are always moving mad, sometimes you're happy, be like, bro, especially the craze. Like, what's going on here? Anywho, that's I don't know what to say, but
Some things actually going in the hospital. You wonder, like, can people try this outside?
I don't know. Like sometimes you can't just explain it. Like if sometimes you want to explain, but you're too tired to explain, so you just let it slide. So do you think male doctors go through this kind of experience of being misunderstood? Obviously not. Anyway,
No.
you've never seen a male?
Nope. I can walk into any ward with a male doctor that is wearing maybe he can even be wearing singlet and this thing self. I can be wearing the work coat and the doctor and he will still be called doctor and I will be called nurse.
But fun fact, I've seen a doctor being called nurse. I will explain the context for you. So in our A&E, most of the nurses or more nurses there are male. Yeah. So I think the doctor just came into the consulting room was like, one person just called me a nurse. I laughed so hard. He was so shocked. I told him, welcome to the club. So it seems like maybe a good number of people had corrected the patient that these men are nurses and they were all wearing scrubs. And interestingly for him that day, he was wearing scrubs. And then when he walked like past the patient was like, nurse, and he was so shocked.
Like who?
Yeah, but that's the only time I've seen a doctor being called a nurse. It was what they call it, men in women, women in male, whatever. Men in women terminated feed. It was very funny that day. But I would just like you to put out a word for your patients in general, because it seems like it's mostly patients that mistake you for nurses. Do you think so? Okay.
About that, I think even people outside as well, like
Regardless of if they are patients or not. Okay.
like there have been times where I just walk right out of the hospital gate and I'm still with my work coat or maybe with my socks, and then people go nurse.
Oh yes.
Even there was literally a time I wasn't even on my work or anything. It was like weekend. I was going somewhere else.
The person must have seen you in the hospital before.
Yes, maybe. And then the person kept on saying,
Auntie nurse.
nurse. And I didn't answer. I kept on moving. And then another day, this same person did the exact, like that day. I was just like,
Provocation.
I just waved my hand and walked.
You waved.
I'm not going to. I'm just done with this at this point. I think even outside, like you said, I think if you have
Conditions to just
yeah.
assume that the women are nurses.
yeah, any woman in the healthcare field is automatically a nurse, and if it's a man, he's automatically
The doctor.
a doctor.
But do you think they do it from a cynical place? You think they do it out of spite or what?
No, I don't.
No, it's the conditioning, like you said. There are some few, let's not be light to ourselves, people do move mad in medicine. Like the one that was telling me is CV now.
Yeah.
So like, because most of them actually, when you do correct them, they do take that,
years.
and they will even correct other patients too. For other patients, if another patient calls you nurse, they'll be like, this one no be nurse, so na doctor where she be. They'll be like, oh sorry doctor, no vex. They correct other patients. So it's just those ones with coconut head that you would have told 100 million times that I'm a doctor, and they're like, So anyway, nurse.
Yeah, exactly. Or some that don't even seem bothered by your correction. You get like most times when you tell them, some people say, "Oh, I'm sorry, I didn't know."
Yeah.
But there are some that just seem on face like I could care less who you are or what you are. Like
I just remembered more experiences, but I think I don't want to prolong this episode. We can go on and on. Like it's great. We see things. Well, I just, as much as you can, I guess we just have to keep correcting them until one day the last person on earth realizes that a woman can be a doctor. Wow, a shocking fact in 2026. Ooh. I mean, it is what it is, right? So we just have to keep correcting them. So, and I think we can try to be graceful with our corrections as well. I know we are strict babes, but but yeah, I think for me the best method is asking them, "Oh, you want to talk to a nurse?"
oh yes,
I'm not a nurse, I'm a doctor. Yeah, point at the nurse. I think that has been my most efficient correcting mode ever. That to patients as well. Like I will direct you to the nursing station, but like if I better you the first time, like nurse, who me?
I just usually tell them like, "Oh, I'm not a nurse." Like most times, still okay.
Yes, I'll do. Like, oh, I'm not a nurse, I'm a doctor. This is where you're going to. Where do you need? Well, I'm going to pharmacy. This is direction to the pharmacy. You can. Look, I will direct you, but yeah, there be the correction, do the right thing. Okay, cool. So in our last minute, I just want you to like set your mind, search the last couple of days. So this segment is called the moving mad moment. So anybody who gets to be on the show tells us in most recent times where somebody has moved mad in medicine in their space. So yeah. Anyway, any moving mad? Or were you the one who moved mad? Alright, so yeah. So I was doing call, obviously, it was a weekend cover. There was a patient I had written, obviously sometimes patients won't have their medication, so I'd prescribed the drugs for them to go and get. Then some couple of minutes later, our attention was drawn to a patient noticed to not be, the usual story.
Yeah.
So in the middle of chest compressions, I felt a tap on my back. Excuse me, doctor. Please, she does not have vitamin C. Can you please write vitamin C for me to buy? Bro, I was stunned. Actively. Why will you move mad like that? First they die, you dey find vitamin C. Your conscience not a judge. And your priority is not like, are we not seeing what's going on right now? Like, first of all, how did you even enter back into this space as we're doing compressions? But like,
wait, is it the person whose relative was going?
No, a different relative. Was not, I feel like that might have even been worse if it was the active relative that came to meet me for, please vitamin C for my way. Like it was just too surprising. Like I can't even imagine.
People don't read the room.
The ability to read the room was absent that day. Like I was too stunned.
Oh my god. Anyway, I don't even know what to say about this thing. There's no rationale behind it. The person was just moving mad. It's well though.
Thank you guys for being on my show.
Glad to be here. Thank you for having us.
Yeah.
Nice.
And happy International Women's Day.
Happy International Women's Day.
Alright guys, please listen to Moving Mad in Medicine. Listen on Spotify, follow us on social media, YouTube,
And share. Leave comments so we hear what you have to say. And take care and bye.
Bye.